Hello and welcome back to the 9 Moons art drawing channel. I've been working on a logo for my 9 Moons art and it's going to have a dragonfly in it. So I have decided that instead of calling you my little moonbeams, I'm going to call you guys my little dragonflies. So my little dragonfly artists, today we are going to be doing a picture of a video game character that's really popular right now, and that is the Among Us. So let me go ahead and show you this little crewmate. It's a crewmate, and they call this one a pet. So we're going to do this big crewmate and the pet, and we're going to do it 2021 Happy New Year style with our balloons, our fireworks, and then we'll write the words Happy New Year. So what we want to do first is we want to start on our paper with, you guys can use your pencil, of course, and then you guys can do your outlining with your Sharpie after. I'm going to go ahead and start with my Sharpie, and then we're going to go ahead and start right about here on our paper. So we want a shape that is a circle, but kind of like a squarish circle. Do you kind of see how that, it kind of looks like a square with rounded corners? All right, and then what I want you guys to do is go ahead and make the curved line here for the hat, and draw your triangle shape for the top portion. Now this is going to be a little party hat, and I've gone ahead and drawn a little pom-pom on there and put little circles on the end, so you can do that as well if you think that is cute. And I want you guys to go ahead and take your pencil and draw a line from here to create the head. Now we're going to go ahead and draw a line straight down the back. And right about here is where that line would pop out in the front. So I'm going to put a dot there to remind myself, and I'm going to pull that line down as well. All right, now we're going to make the feet, line across, skip a space, and line across. And then go ahead and bring that leg up, and another line up, and then one across. I'm going to overlap just a little bit there. It just gives it a little bit more realism. Now these guys, they are actually, if you haven't seen the video game, they are actually astronauts in outer space, and so that's why they have these little spacesuits and these little helmets and shields for their face. They also have these little backpacks, so right about the middle across, you're going to create a line here and one across from the legs, and that's about the size of the backpacks that they're wearing, which I'm going to have to assume is an oxygen tank for breathing, because there is no air in space. Now we want a hand, so we want to put a large circle for the gloved hand and a smaller circle for the thumb, because you can see we're going to be tucking the balloons into that hand there. So let's go ahead and start our balloons. We're going to do 3 circles. 1. Now put your pencil here and make a backward C for number 2. Again for number 3. And one more time for number 4. Kind of looks like we're making a caterpillar. At the bottom, you want to add your triangle shape for the bottom of the balloon to make it look like it is tied off, and then we will pull our strings and tuck them into his hand. All right, now what you need to do is just have them come out the bottom. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to add our 21 inside of those balloons. Now if you want to put polka dots on your hat, go ahead and start by adding your circles, and then go ahead and add some half circles because it makes it look more realistic, because all the circles wouldn't be directly in the middle of the hat. You wouldn't just see perfect circles because the circles are going all the way around the hat. So if we just add a couple of those going off the edge, it'll look more realistic. Now what we want to do is we want to add our horizon line. So let's go ahead and draw a line across the middle here. And we're going to go ahead and add some mountains in our background. All right, right about to there. Okay, great. Now we're going to add that little the little crewmate. He's a little pet. So we're going to go ahead and add his little shield here. And just draw a line up and around and down. Bring down your front line and add your 2 feet. Up and over. Little baby backpack. And I gave this little one a balloon as well. I'm going to give it a little smiley face. And I just tucked it right into the side of it, like so. So you guys can do that as well. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys how to make those fireworks. So up in the sky, if you go ahead and make a plus sign with your solid lines, and then we're going to do a dashed line in between those, and a dotted line in between those. So 3 lines for the dash, 4 dots for this portion, and that kind of gives it a nice little sparkly effect. Okay, now we can do 2 of those. This time I'm going to make my solid line my X shape, and I'm going to make my plus line my dashed. That just gives it a little bit of variety. Now there are other ways of making fireworks. I did show another way for making fireworks in my Chinese New Year video. So if you want to check that out, you can. All right, and lastly, we just want to put the words Happy New Year at the bottom. So let's just go ahead and write that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to add our color, and today I'm actually going to show you some coloring techniques with colored pencils, and that's actually what I've used here with my finished part. So I used 2 different shades of green, and I used 2 different shades of blue in my mountains, and then I added 3 different colors for my fireworks. So when you guys are using colored pencils, one of the great ways of blending is to just overlap. So I'm going to go through my pencils and find the 2 shades of green that I want to use. I'm going to use a dark green here, and I'm going to use this light green. All right. Now you guys can choose what color you want to have your character. You don't have to use green like me, but you do want to have 2 different shades. So you want a light green and a dark green. And I'm going to just create a line right here to show myself where I'm going to be doing the light and where it's going to transition into the dark. All right, now again, when I do coloring, I like to do small circles. When I'm coloring with colored pencils and crayons, I'm literally just making tons and tons of little baby circles together, and that way it really fills my space in nicely. I don't leave any white spaces. And I'm going to do my thumb and part of my glove this color, as well as part of my backpack. So if you mark out the spaces that you want, it will be good. Now in the game, the baby one, the little crewmate, or our little pet here, it matches the color of the crewmate it belongs to. So I'm going to go ahead and use that same color and technique for the baby one as well. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to add my darker color. So I'm just going to bring it right up to that line, and I'm going to overlap just a small bit to make that transition really smooth. I will say that coloring with colored pencils is one of the harder coloring techniques. Not so far as the actual techniques, but it actually is really time consuming, and it's the one that hurts my hand the most. So I think it's one of the ones I kind of shy away from. Crayons are a little bit easier, they go a little faster, they cover the area faster. But I would say markers are probably my very favorite, and then beyond that, watercoloring. is a lot faster. But I do want to be able to show this to you because it's important that you guys learn how to shade and color with all mediums. So when we talk about mediums, we're talking about the different things you can use to create art. And in my classroom at school, when I'm teaching art, this is one of the things we use the very most. So when we are working on the helmet, I want you guys to go ahead and map out very lightly, just map out where your highlight's going to be. Because this is a windshield. It's almost like a windshield. It's glass. So we want it to have a shiny mark so it looks like the texture of glass. So I'm going to go ahead and use a gray. You guys can use a gray, a blue, are good colors for shiny glass. And then I'm going to push harder as I go to get the darker shadow of the shield near the bottom. And I can even go now and take another color, like you could take a darker blue, and I'm going to lightly go over that part. I don't really want to change my color to blue that much. I just want to make my gray a little bit darker near the bottom. So you can kind of see now I have like a 3-tone effect. Let me get closer for you there. So you can kind of see here I've got my highlight, I've got my light gray, and I've got my darker blue gray to create that nice transition from having a highlight to having shadows. And we're going to do the same thing in the little one. We're going to go ahead and pull that to a point. All right, now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and add color to our little party hat. And I think I really like the color I had chosen previously, which is a darker purple. So just be very careful when you're coloring around your lines that you don't go so fast that you color inside your lines, or go into the polka dots, I mean. And you know, this is part of the fun of doing your art. Once you get all your line work done and you get your outlining done, it's almost like you're making yourself a coloring page. The whole idea of doing the outlining is to make it really stand out, really make it pop. If you skip the step of outlining and you try to color on top of pencil marks, it just doesn't have the same effect. And so really, I know sometimes it seems like an extra step to have to do the outlining and have to do the sharpening, but honestly, that's the part that really makes your art look beautiful. And then it creates the space so you know exactly how far you're going to color. Now, when I'm going to do these mountains, I'm going to do them all one color blue first, and then I'll show you how I add my shadows. And you know, one of the good things about coloring with color pencils that is something that you have to worry a lot about when you have markers. When you have markers, you are constantly thinking about not leaving, you know, marker lines. And when you use color pencils, you can kind of avoid that. You don't really see them as much, so you don't have to worry so much about which direction that you're going. Like I can kind of go up and down, I can kind of go side to side, and I don't have to worry as much as I do when I'm using my markers. Now, for my shadows, I want to use a purple. So a purple is going to give me a nice varied effect. So I can go I'm just going to go very lightly, and I'm going to do half the mountain now. And what that's going to look like, that's going to make it look like that this side is darker. Okay, that this side is in the shadow, that there's a light source coming from somewhere. So you can add that in different places. This also works when you are doing shadows with paint. Like if I was painting mountains, and I might even go so far as to say like making a little zigzag line down the front, because the shadows on a mountain, they're not always perfectly straight down. Like I wouldn't make a perfectly straight line right down the mountain. I would vary it a little bit like this. And that's kind of like the peak of the mountain, like a mountain trail. And you can kind of see that creates a nice organic looking effect. It's not going to look perfectly straight. All right, now we're going to work on our balloons. And I kind of like having these balloons in color coordinated rainbow order. So I'm going to go ahead and do it the way I had it on my original, which is red, orange, yellow, and green. Alright, so you guys can choose what color you guys want to do your balloons and what color you want your picture to be. That's always going to be a choice for you guys when you are doing guided drawings with me. Again, I'm just going and making big circle motions. It fills your space in quickly, and it's very effective. It kind of helps my wrist when I'm coloring to not get so tired when I'm going in little circles like that. And I'm looking for my light green. Oh, there it is, it's hiding. Okay, so now that our balloons are just about done, I'm going to go down to the bottom balloon, and I'm actually going to color that one yellow because it's an emoji face, and emoji faces are usually yellow. I kind of thought it was funny to have the face on there because since they have shields on, we can't really see the face of these characters. No one really knows what they look like in there or what kind of characters they are. So having a little face on there somewhere is kind of fun. Alright, now lastly we're going to go ahead and do our fireworks, and I'm going to choose, I think I'm going to do this one where it's going to be going red, orange, and yellow on one, and then a green, a blue, and a purple on the other. So we're going to do warm colors on one and cool colors on the other. If you didn't know, these are your warm colors because they're the colors of fire. Warm, they could call them hot if they're going to be the colors of fire, right? And then cool colors are all the colors that you see here, your green, your blue, and your purple. So I'm going to choose my solid line, and I'm going to just go around it. I'm going to go around it and just very lightly add a little bit of color to it. Alright, and then on my dotted line, I'm going to add my orange. And lastly, I'll add my yellow over my dots. And that way I can get a nice trio of colors. Trio is a word for three. Alright. And let's see. On this one, I think I'm going to do the green on the solid line. So make sure you go around, and so that it shows, you need to go all the way around it. And if you want to go further, you can actually bring your line out a little bit. That would work as well. I think I'll do purple on my dashed lines. And I will finish it out with my blue on my dotted lines. Again, you guys can choose what color you guys think would look good together. Alright, I'm going to call that finished. And I hope you guys had a lot of fun drawing with me today. So I will say to you guys, Happy New Year. And I hope I see you for the next guided drawing in my next video. Alright, bye-bye, little dragonflies.